Ambassador Kim Tae-ho looked out the window of his ship as it moved through space toward Velos Prime. The planet was known across the galaxy for its rich minerals and busy trading posts. His ship, the Harmony's Edge, was carrying supplies and trade agreements for the human colonies there. Tae-ho had been working as a diplomat for 12 years now. He remembered when humans first joined the Galactic Council. Many alien species had looked at them with suspicion. Humans were new, unknown, and some thought they might be dangerous. But Tae-ho believed that patience and kindness could build bridges between any species. His communications officer, Lieutenant Park Ji-won, came up to him with a worried look on her face. "Sir, we are getting a distress call from a human transport ship. They are about 2 hours away from our current position." Tae-ho turned around quickly. "What kind of trouble are they in?" "Their engine was damaged by space debris. They have life support but cannot move their ship. There are 15 crew members on board, including some civilians." Tae-ho nodded. "Change our course immediately. We need to help them." The Harmony's Edge changed direction and moved toward the damaged ship. As they got closer, Tae-ho could see the transport vessel floating helplessly in space. It was called the New Dawn, and it looked badly damaged. Part of its hull was torn open and one of its engine units was completely destroyed. "Open a channel to their ship," Tae-ho ordered. A young woman's face appeared on the main screen. She had short black hair and looked very tired. "This is Engineer Bo Rami from the New Dawn. Thank you for responding to our call. This is Ambassador Tae-ho. What is your current situation?" Rami took a deep breath. "We were carrying medical supplies to the outer colonies when we hit a field of metal debris. Our main engine is destroyed, and our backup systems are failing. We have maybe 6 hours of life support left." Tae-ho felt his heart sink. The Harmony's Edge was a diplomatic vessel, not a rescue ship. They had some extra space, but not enough for 15 people and their cargo. Even worse, their destination was still 8 hours away. "We will do everything we can to help you," Tae-ho said. "Give us a few minutes to figure out the best way to get you all to safety." He ended the communication and turned to his crew. "Options?" Lieutenant Park checked her computer. "Sir, we can take maybe 8 people on our ship, but that would leave 7 behind. And even then we would be very crowded." Captain Lee Dong-min, who commanded the ship, shook his head. "The New Dawn is too damaged to tow. We would need a much bigger ship with stronger engines." Tae-ho was thinking hard when another voice came over the radio. "This is Captain Keith of the trading vessel Golden Wing. I heard your distress call. I might be able to help." Everyone on the bridge looked at each other in surprise. They had not sent out a general distress call. This alien captain had been listening to their private communications. "Captain Keth, this is Ambassador Tae-ho. We appreciate your offer, but this is a human matter. With respect, Ambassador, space does not care about species. People in trouble are people in trouble." Tae-ho paused. He knew very little about Captain Keith or his species. On his screen, he could see a ship approaching them. It was smaller than the Harmony's Edge, but looked well-maintained. "What kind of help can you offer?" Tae-ho asked. "My ship can carry 20 people comfortably. I am currently hauling crystal cargo to the Nexus station, but I can make room. I will take all 15 crew members from the New Dawn and deliver them safely to Velos Prime." Lieutenant Park quickly looked up information about the approaching ship. "Sir, it belongs to a Chitauri merchant. His species looks like large insects, but they are known to be honest traders." Tae-ho thought about this offer. He did not know this Captain Keth personally. The Chitauri were not enemies of humans, but they were not close allies either. Most of their dealings with humans had been simple trade agreements. "Captain Keth, what do you want in return for this help?" Tae-ho asked. There was a pause before Keth replied. "Nothing, Ambassador. Sometimes people just need help." This answer surprised Tae-ho. In his 12 years of diplomatic work, he had learned that most species expected payment for services. Even humans usually wanted something in return when they helped strangers. "Sir," Captain Lee said quietly, "his offer seems genuine. Our sensors show his ship is capable of carrying those people safely." Tae-ho made his decision. Captain Keith, we accept your generous offer. How do you want to handle the transfer? I will dock with the damaged ship and take the crew directly. You can continue to your mission. I will make sure they reach Velos Prime within 12 hours. As Tejo watched the Golden Wing move toward the new dawn, he felt something unusual. This alien captain was going out of his way to help humans he had never met. Keth would have to dump some of his valuable cargo to make room for 15 people. His delivery to Nexus Station would be delayed, which could cost him money and reputation. But Keth was doing it anyway. The rescue operation went smoothly. Engineer Rami and her crew were transferred to the Golden Wing within 2 hours. Before leaving, Rami contacted the Harmony's Edge one more time. Ambassador, please make sure Captain Keith knows how grateful we are. He saved our lives today. I will make sure the right people know about his kindness, Tejo promised. After the Golden Wing disappeared into hyperspace with the rescued crew, Tejo went to his private office. He opened a secure communication channel to Earth and connected to a department that most humans had never heard of. This is Ambassador Tejo. I need to file a gratitude entry, a woman's voice answered. This is Director Shin Hyewan of the Department of Reciprocity. Please provide details. Tejo explained everything that had happened. He described Captain Keth's selfless actions, the risk the Chitauri captain had taken, and the lives he had saved. Understood, Ambassador. Captain Keith of the Chitauri species has been entered into our system. His kindness will not be forgotten. Tejo ended the call and sat back in his chair. He knew that somewhere on Earth, computers were already working to find ways to repay Keth's kindness. The Department of Reciprocity never forgot a good deed, just as they never forgot a wrong one. 3 days later, the Harmony's Edge reached Velos Prime. Engineer Rami and her crew were waiting at the spaceport, all safe and healthy. Captain Keth had delivered them exactly as promised. The Chitauri captain refused any payment, Rami told Tejo. He said helping people was payment enough. Tejo smiled. He has no idea what he has started. That night, as Tejo prepared his official report, he thought about the strange encounter. In a galaxy where most species looked out only for themselves, one insect-like alien had risked his livelihood to save 15 humans. It was the kind of small act that could change everything, and unknown to Captain Keth, it already had. 3 months had passed since Captain Keth rescued the human crew from the New Dawn. The Chitauri merchant was going about his usual business, moving cargo between different star systems. But lately, he had noticed some very strange things happening. It started at the human trading post on Kepler Station. Keith had arrived with a load of rare crystals from the outer rim. Usually, he would have to wait in line for days to get permission to dock. The station was always busy, and alien traders often had to wait their turn. But when the station control heard his ship name, everything changed. Golden Wing, this is Kepler Control. You are cleared for immediate docking at Premium Bay 7. No waiting time required. Keth was confused. Premium Bay 7 was reserved for VIP ships and emergency vessels. He was just a regular merchant carrying normal cargo. Kepler Control, I think there has been a mistake. I am hauling standard crystal cargo. I should use the regular commercial bays. No mistake, Captain Keth. Bay 7 is waiting for you. Welcome to Kepler Station. When Keth docked, even stranger things happened. The human dock workers unloaded his cargo faster than he had ever seen. They handled his crystals with extreme care and loaded them onto priority transport without any extra charges. The station manager, a human named Director Nam Hyun Soo, personally came to greet him. This had never happened before. Station managers were important people who did not usually meet with individual traders. Captain Keth, it is an honor to have you at our station. Your crystals will be shipped to their destination on our fastest transport. No fees for storage or handling. Keth was very confused. Director Nam, I appreciate your kindness, but I can pay the normal fees. I do not understand why I am receiving special treatment. Director Nam smiled. Let us just say that good deeds do not go unnoticed in human space. Your cargo will always receive priority handling at any human facility. This pattern repeated at every human trading post Keth visited over the next few weeks. His ships got the best docking bays. His cargo received priority handling. Human officials treated him like an honored guest rather than just another alien trader. At first, Keth thought it might be some kind of mistake in the computer systems, but the treatment was too consistent and too personal. Humans he had never met before would greet him by name and thank him for his service to their people. Meanwhile, on the water world of Aquatica, marine biologist Park Soo-jin was working in her underwater research station. She studied ocean life and how different species adapted to their environments. Soo-jin loved her work because it helped her understand how life could exist in the most difficult conditions. One day she received an unusual request from her supervisor, Dr. Ko Min-jae. He asked her to research a species she had never heard of before, the Chitauri. "Why are we studying insect-like aliens when our job is ocean life?" Soo-jin asked. Dr. Ko handed her a data file. "This comes from the Department of Research Priorities. They want us to learn everything we can about Chitauri, biology and genetics. Apparently it has become a matter of human interest." Soo-jin opened the file and started reading. What she found made her very sad. The Chitauri species was dying slowly. A genetic disorder was affecting their reproduction system. Each generation had fewer healthy children than the one before. Scientists predicted that the Chitauri would become extinct within 200 years. "This is terrible," Soo-jin said. "Can anything be done to help them?" "That is what we need to find out. I am assigning you to work with Dr. Han Woo-jin from the genetics lab. Together, you need to study this problem and see if human science can offer any solutions." Soo-jin had heard of Dr. Han Woo-jin. He was brilliant at understanding how genetic codes worked. If anyone could solve a problem like this, it would be him. When Soo-jin met Dr. Han at his laboratory, she was surprised by how young he looked. But when he started explaining genetic structures, she quickly realized he was a genius. "The Chitauri genetic problem is very complex," Dr. Han explained while showing her computer models. "Their DNA has a flaw that causes reproductive cells to break down over time. It gets worse with each generation." "Can it be fixed?" Soo-jin asked. "Maybe. But we would need to understand their ocean origins first. The Chitauri evolved from sea creatures on their homeworld. Your ocean research might be the key to solving their genetic puzzle." For the next 2 months, Soo-jin and Dr. Han worked together almost every day. Soo-jin studied how ocean creatures on Earth and other worlds adapted to survive genetic problems. Dr. Han analyzed Chitauri DNA samples and looked for ways to repair the damaged genetic codes. The work was difficult and sometimes frustrating. Many of their early experiments failed, but both scientists refused to give up. They felt that saving an entire species was worth any amount of hard work. The breakthrough came when Soo-jin discovered a type of sea coral that could repair its own genetic damage. The coral used special enzymes to fix broken DNA before it could cause problems. "Look at this," Soo-jin said excitedly, showing Dr. Han her discovery. "These coral enzymes work almost exactly like what the Chitauri need. If we can modify them slightly, they might be able to fix the genetic disorder." Dr. Han studied Soo-jin's data carefully. "You are right. We can use these enzymes as a template. But we need to change them to work with Chitauri biology instead of coral biology." It took another month of careful work, but finally they succeeded. They created a genetic treatment that could repair the Chitauri reproductive system. Not only would it save the current generation, but it would also prevent the problem from affecting future children. When they tested their treatment on Chitauri DNA samples, the results were perfect. The genetic disorder was completely corrected. Dr. Ko was amazed when he saw their results. "This is incredible work. You have potentially saved an entire species from extinction." But Soo-jin and Dr. Han had done more than just help the Chitauri. Their research methods led to breakthroughs in treating genetic disorders in other alien species as well. The techniques they developed could be used to help dozens of different life forms across the galaxy. The news of their success reached the highest levels of human government. Within days, human ships were carrying the genetic treatment toward Chitauri space. The cure would be given freely to any Chitauri who needed it. Captain Keith was loading cargo at a human station when he received an emergency message from his homeworld. The message was from the Chitauri High Council. the most important leaders of his species. Captain Keith, you must return home immediately. The humans have sent us a gift that will save our people. The High Council wants to meet with you personally to understand how this miracle became possible. Keth was confused. He had no idea what the message meant. How could the humans have anything to do with saving his species? And why did the High Council want to talk to him? As his ship traveled toward his homeworld, Keth thought about the strange months he had experienced, the special treatment at human stations, the priority handling of his cargo, the respect shown to him by humans he had never met. Somehow he suspected it was all connected to that day 3 months ago, when he had helped rescue 15 humans from a damaged ship. It had seemed like such a small thing at the time. 1 year after Captain Keith's rescue of the human crew, the galaxy was beginning to notice something unusual about human behavior. Stories spread among traders and diplomats about humans who never forgot a favor and always found ways to repay kindness with even greater kindness. But the Valthorn Empire was not impressed by these stories. The Valthorn were a warrior species that had conquered a quarter of the known galaxy through fear and superior military technology. They were tall, gray-skinned beings with 4 arms and red eyes that glowed in the dark. Their empire was built on the simple idea that the strong should rule over the weak. Emperor Vash-Tor sat in his throne room on the capital world of Valthorn Prime, listening to reports from his military commanders. General Krixmal, his most trusted advisor, was telling him about the growing influence of humans in galactic politics. My emperor, the humans continue to gain allies through their strange diplomatic methods. More species are joining their trade partnerships every month. Emperor Vash-Tor laughed coldly. Let them play their games of friendship and kindness. When the time comes, we will show the galaxy what real power looks like. Sir, perhaps we should test their resolve. See how they respond to real pressure. The Emperor's red eyes glowed brighter. Yes. Find me a target, something that will show these humans their place in the natural order. 3 days later, Valthorn warships surrounded Research Station Alpha 7 on the edge of human space. The station was home to 847 human scientists and their families. They were working on projects to develop new medicines and technologies that could help all species in the galaxy. Dr. Yang Suho, the station director, was in his office when the Valthorn ships appeared. His assistant, Dr. Kwok Yunji, ran into the room with a panicked expression. Director Yang, we have 15 Valthorn warships surrounding the station. They are demanding that we surrender immediately. Dr. Yang felt his heart sink. The research station had no military defenses. They were scientists, not soldiers. Their only protection was supposed to be their location in neutral space, where attacking civilians was forbidden by galactic law. Open a communication channel to their lead ship, Dr. Yang ordered. A Valthorn commander appeared on the screen. His face was scarred from many battles, and his 4 arms were crossed in a gesture of dominance. I am Commander Zeth Vor of the Yaish Valthorn Imperial Fleet. This station is now under our control. You will surrender immediately or we will destroy you. Commander, this is a civilian research station. We are protected under the Galactic Peace Accords. You cannot attack non-military targets. Commander Zeth Vor laughed harshly. Your human laws mean nothing to the Valthorn Empire. You have one, hour to surrender, or we start destroying sections of your station. Dr. Yang quickly contacted human military headquarters. Admiral Go Min-ho, commander of the Human Defense Fleet, responded within minutes. Dr. Yang, we are sending ships to your location immediately. Hold your position and do not surrender. Help is coming. But Admiral Go Min-ho knew his ships were too far away. It would take at least 6 hours to reach the research station. He immediately tried to contact the Valthorn command to negotiate. Commander, Yoon Da-un, one of Admiral Go's best diplomats, opened a communication channel to the Valthorn ships. She was known for her ability to solve conflicts without violence. Valthorn Commander, this is Commander Yoon Da-un of the Human Defense Fleet. We wish to negotiate a peaceful solution to this situation. Commander Zeth Vor appeared on her screen, still showing his scarred face and glowing red eyes. There is nothing to negotiate, human. Your people will surrender, or they will die. Choose quickly. What do you want? We can discuss reasonable terms for the release of the civilian researchers. We want tribute. Your species must pay the Velthorn Empire 10 billion credits every year for protection. These scientists will remain our prisoners until your government agrees. Commander Yoon felt anger rise in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. That is not acceptable. These are innocent scientists. Release them, and we can discuss trade agreements. You misunderstand your position, human. We are not asking. We are telling you what will happen. Commander Zeth Vor ended the communication. 30 minutes later, the Valthorn ships opened fire on one section of the research station. 50 human scientists and researchers were killed, instantly. The executions were broadcast across known space. The Valthorn wanted everyone to see what happened to species that did not submit to their power. Back on Earth, in a secure building that most humans had never seen, Director Shin Hee-won received the news of the attack. She was a small woman, with gray hair and calm eyes, but everyone who worked with her knew she had one of the most brilliant strategic minds in human space. The Department of Reciprocity had two main divisions. The Gratitude Division tracked good deeds and found ways to repay kindness. The Accountability Division tracked wrongs committed against humans and calculated appropriate responses. For 50 years, since humans joined the galactic community, the Accountability Division had remained mostly inactive. Humans had focused on building friendships and alliances through kindness and cooperation, but the division had never been closed. It had been waiting. Director Shin sat at her desk and opened a file that had not been used in decades. The cover was marked with simple words, Negative Reciprocity Protocols. Dr. Kim Jae-min, she said to her assistant, please activate all sleeping assets. Send notification to every department head. Project accountability is now active. Yes. Director, what classification level? Director Shin looked at the images of the 50 dead scientists on her screen. These people had been working to develop medicines that could save lives across multiple species. They had been killed simply to prove a point about power. Maximum level. Inform all relevant parties that the Velthorn Empire has made a serious mistake. Across the galaxy, humans began receiving coded messages. Diplomats who had spent years building friendships suddenly started asking different questions. Scientists who had been sharing research with alien partners began making private requests. Military officers who had been training with allied species started discussing theoretical combat scenarios. The galaxy had seen what humanity did when someone showed them kindness. Captain Keith had rescued 15 humans and in return had gained a cure for his species' genetic disorder and preferential treatment across all human space. But no one had ever seen what humans did when their people were murdered. Admiral Go Min-ho stood on the bridge of his flagship as it raced toward Research Station Alpha 7. He knew they would arrive too late to save the station, but he hoped they could rescue any survivors. His communications officer, Lieutenant Sun Mi-young, approached him with a concerned expression. Admiral, we are receiving thousands of messages from human allies across the galaxy. Every species we have helped in the past 50 years is asking how they can assist us. Admiral Go looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Velthorn were celebrating their easy victory over helpless human scientists. They thought they had proven their superiority through murder and intimidation. They had no idea what they had actually done. They had given humanity something it had never had before, a reason to show the galaxy the other side of human reciprocity. The kind and gentle species that remembered every favor was about to remind everyone that they also remembered every wrong. 2 weeks after the massacre at Research Station Alpha 7, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. Representatives from 12 major species gathered to discuss the Velthorn attack on human civilians. The debate went on for hours. Some species wanted to impose trade sanctions on the Velthorn Empire. Others argued for diplomatic protests. A few suggested doing nothing, afraid that taking action would anger the powerful Velthorn military. Ambassador Kim Tae-ho sat quietly through most of the discussions. When the other ambassadors finished speaking, the council chairman asked for his response. The human government appreciates the council's concern. Tejo said calmly. However, we will handle this matter according to our own policies. Ambassador Vex Null of the crystalline Luxari species leaned forward. Ambassador Tejo, surely you do not intend to take military action. The Valthorn Empire is too powerful. War would be disastrous for everyone. Tejo stood up slowly. We are not discussing war. We are discussing reciprocity. The other ambassadors looked confused. Most of them had heard stories about human reciprocity, but they thought it only applied to good deeds and kindness. What do you mean by reciprocity in this situation? Asked Ambassador Quintor of the reptilian Sauran Republic. 50 years ago, when humans joined this council, we made a promise. We said we would remember every kindness shown to us and repay it with greater kindness. But we also promised to remember every wrong committed against us. The chamber became very quiet. Ambassador Tejo continued speaking in the same calm voice. The Velthorn Empire murdered 50 innocent scientists to send a message about power. We received that message. Now we will send our own message in return. Before anyone could respond, Tejo left the chamber. Within hours, he was on a ship heading back to human space. While the Galactic Council continued their useless debates, humans across the galaxy began making private visits to old friends. On the water world of Aquatica, Dr. Park Soo-jin received a visit from Director Nam Hyun-soo, the same man who had given Captain Keth special treatment at Kepler Station. Dr. Park, I need to ask you about the genetic treatment you developed for the Chitauri species. What about it? The treatment has been very successful. We have saved thousands of lives. Director Nam nodded. Yes, and the Chitauri people are very grateful. I need you to contact their High Council. Ask them if they would be willing to help humanity with a special project. What kind of project? The kind that requires biological expertise and absolute secrecy. Similar conversations were happening across human space. Every scientist, diplomat, and trader who had helped build friendships with alien species was suddenly being asked to call in old favors. On the mining world of Titan 7, engineer Nam Ki-tai was working on a new type of space engine when he received an unusual request. A government official asked him to contact the Luxari engineers he had worked with on previous projects. What do you need from them? Nam asked. Information about their crystal energy technology, specifically how it could be combined with human weapon systems. Nam was surprised. Humans rarely developed weapons technology. They preferred to focus on medical research, engineering, and diplomacy. Are we really going to war with the Velthorn? We are going to show them what happens when someone attacks human civilians. The Luxari owe us a debt of gratitude for saving their children from the Crystal Plague 5 years ago. It is time to collect on that debt. Within days, Nam was working with Luxari engineers to design new types of energy weapons. The Luxari had the most advanced energy technology in the galaxy, but they had always been a peaceful species. They had never thought about using their crystals for military purposes. But they remembered how human doctors had saved an entire generation of Luxari children from a deadly disease. When humans asked for help, they could not refuse. Captain Keth was on his homeworld when he received a visit from a human diplomat named Ambassador Lee So-young. She was young for a diplomat, but she spoke the Chitauri language perfectly and knew their customs well. Captain Keth, it is an honor to meet you. Your name is well known among my people. Keth was still amazed by how humans treated him. Ever since his rescue of the New Dawn crew, he had become something of a celebrity in human space. But he had never expected a human diplomat to visit his home world. Ambassador Lee, what brings you to Chitauri Prime? I need to discuss a matter of mutual assistance with your High Council. The humans would like to request a favor from the Chitauri people. What kind of favor? Ambassador Lee's expression became serious. I assume you have heard about the attack on our research station. 50 of our scientists were murdered by the Velthorn Empire. Yes, the news has spread across the galaxy. It was a terrible crime. We intend to respond to this crime, but we need help from our friends. The Chitauri people are experts in biological warfare and stealth technology. We would like to ask for your assistance in developing certain defensive systems. Keth understood immediately. The humans were not asking for charity. They were calling in the debt created when he rescued their people and when their scientists saved his entire species from genetic extinction. I will speak to the High Council immediately. I believe they will be very interested in helping humanity with this project. Similar meetings were taking place on dozens of worlds. Every species that had received help from humans over the past 50 years was suddenly being asked to contribute to a mysterious human project. The reptilian Saurans, whose planet had been saved from an asteroid impact by human intervention, provided advanced stealth technology. The gaseous Nabari, whose trade routes had been protected by human patrol ships, offered their knowledge of space navigation and communication jamming. The insectoid Mantari, whose food crisis had been solved by human agricultural experts, shared their expertise in rapid construction and logistics. In secret facilities across human space, these alien technologies were being combined in ways that had never been attempted before. Human engineers worked alongside grateful alien scientists to create weapons and ships that incorporated the best features of multiple species. Director Shin Hai-wan stood in the main laboratory of the Department of Reciprocity, watching as the impossible became reality. Before her, technicians were installing Luxari energy crystals into human weapon systems. Nearby, other workers were applying Sauran stealth coatings to human warships. Dr. Kim Jae-min, what is our current status? She asked her assistant. All major projects are ahead of schedule. We have received assistance from 23 different species so far. The new hybrid technologies are performing better than our most optimistic projections. Director Shin nodded. And our friends continue to offer help? Yes. In fact, we are receiving more offers than we can use. It seems every species in the galaxy remembers some kindness from humanity over the past 50 years. This was the secret that the Valthorn Empire did not understand. When humans helped other species, they were not just being kind. They were building a network of gratitude that spread across the entire galaxy. Every life saved, every problem solved, every act of friendship had created a debt that could be called upon when needed. The humans had spent 50 years systematically earning the loyalty of dozens of species. Now, for the first time, they were ready to collect. Captain Lee So-young stood on the bridge of the first completed hybrid warship. The vessel looked like a normal human cruiser from the outside, but inside it contained technology from 6 different alien species. It was completely invisible to conventional sensors, armed with weapons that could destroy entire fleets and capable of traveling faster than any known ship. Captain, we have received confirmation from all other ships in the fleet. Everyone is ready for the next phase. Lee looked out at the stars where the Valthorn Empire continued their normal activities, completely unaware of what was coming. They thought they had intimidated humanity into submission. They had no idea that their attack on the research station had activated a reciprocity system that had been building for half a century. Begin Phase 2, Captain Lee ordered. It is time to show the galaxy what human reciprocity really means. The war did not begin with great battles or dramatic speeches. It began with silence. On the outer edge of Valthorn space, a mining colony called Extraction Post 9 stopped responding to communications. The colony had 3,000 Valthorn workers and was heavily defended by orbital weapons platforms. When the Valthorn military sent a patrol ship to investigate, they found nothing. The colony was gone. Not destroyed, not damaged. Simply gone, as if it had never existed. The patrol, ship's captain, Commander Dex Maul, sent an urgent report to Valthorn High Command. Sir, there is no trace of Extraction Post 9. No debris, no bodies, no evidence of battle. The entire facility has vanished. General Krix Mal received the report with confusion rather than alarm. Equipment failure, he told his staff. Some kind of communication malfunction. Send another patrol to establish contact. But the second patrol ship never returned either. Over the next 2 weeks, 6 more Valthorn outposts went silent. Each time, investigation ships found the same thing. Empty space where busy colonies and military bases used to exist. Emperor Vash Tor was in his throne room when General Krix Mal brought him the latest reports. The Emperor's red eyes glowed with anger as he listened to the list of missing facilities. How can entire colonies just disappear? The Emperor demanded. Where are our people? Where are our ships? We do not know, my Emperor. Our investigation teams find no evidence of attack, no weapon signatures, no battle damage, no distress calls. It is as if these places never existed. This is impossible. Find out what is happening, or I will find someone who can. Unknown to the Veilthorn, their missing colonies and ships were not destroyed. They were captured by invisible human vessels using technology that no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. Captain Lee So-young stood on the bridge of her stealth ship, watching as her crew completed another operation. Below them, a Veilthorn supply depot was being quietly emptied by human transport ships. Captain, all supplies have been transferred to our cargo vessels. The Veilthorn personnel have been moved to the prisoner ship. Any casualties? Lee asked. None. The Sauran sleep gas worked perfectly. Everyone was unconscious within minutes. They will wake up in our detention facility with no memory of how they got there. This was how the human war machine worked. They did not destroy Veilthorn facilities. They simply made them disappear. Enemy personnel were captured alive and placed in comfortable prison camps where they were treated well, but kept completely isolated from the outside galaxy. The Veilthorn Empire was being taken apart piece by piece, and their military commanders had no idea how it was happening. Meanwhile, on the planet Koreth 5, General Baek Jin-woo was preparing for the first major ground operation of the war. Koreth 5 was a Veilthorn military training world where young warriors learned combat skills, but General Baek was not planning a traditional invasion. Instead, he was about to demonstrate a new type of warfare that combined human psychology with alien biotechnology. Dr. Choi Yoonbi, are your biological systems ready for deployment? He asked the xenobiologist who stood beside him. Dr. Choi was a small woman with thick glasses, but her work on alien biology had made her one of the most important scientists in human space. Yes, General. The neural modification virus is ready. It has been specifically designed to target Veilthorn brain implants. All Veilthorn warriors had neural implants that enhanced their aggression and combat abilities. These implants were what made them such effective soldiers, but they were also their greatest weakness. Explain to me once more how this works, General Baek requested. The virus does not harm the Veilthorn physically. Instead, it modifies the programming of their neural implants. Instead of enhancing aggression, the implants will now enhance empathy and cooperative behavior. General Baek smiled grimly. So we are not killing their soldiers. We are turning them into peaceful civilians. Exactly. They will retain all their memories and intelligence, but they will lose their ability to enjoy violence or conquest. For a warrior species, this is more devastating than death. The virus was deployed using Mantari stealth drones that were too small to be detected by Veilthorn sensors. Within hours, every Veilthorn on Koreth 5 had been exposed to the biological agent. The change was immediate and dramatic. Veilthorn warriors who had been training for combat suddenly found themselves unable to understand why they had ever wanted to fight. Training exercises stopped as soldiers sat down to discuss their feelings instead of practicing battle tactics. Commander Zorth Kex, the base commander, tried to rally his troops for a defense against the expected human invasion. But his warriors were no longer interested in warfare. Sir, said one of his sergeants, why do we need to fight? Could we not simply talk to these humans and find a peaceful solution? Commander Zorth stared at his sergeant in horror. No true Veilthorn warrior would ever suggest negotiation over combat. Something terrible had happened to his people. But before he could figure out what was wrong, human transport ships began landing on the training ground. The modified Veilthorn warriors welcomed them as guests rather than enemies. This pattern repeated across the Veilthorn Empire. Human forces would arrive at a Veilthorn world, deploy the neural modification virus, and then walk in unopposed as the former warriors greeted them with friendship instead of weapons. Within 6 months, the Veilthorn Empire had lost control of over half their territory. But Emperor Vashtor still did not understand what was happening to his forces. They must be using some kind of mind control device, he told General Krixmal. Our warriors would never surrender willingly. My Emperor, perhaps we should consider negotiating with the humans. Our losses are becoming unsustainable. Emperor Vashtor's eyes blazed with fury. We do not negotiate with inferior species. Double the patrol schedules. Increase security at all remaining bases. And find me these invisible human ships. But it was already too late. The humans had learned everything they needed to know about Velthorn technology and tactics from their captured personnel and equipment. More importantly, they had proven that the mighty Velthorn Empire could be defeated without massive destruction or loss of life. Director Shin Haiwan stood in her office on Earth, reviewing reports from across the galaxy. The war was proceeding, exactly as planned. Velthorn military power was being systematically dismantled, while their people were converted from violent warriors into peaceful citizens. Dr. Kim Jamin, what is the status of Operation Final Balance? All preparations are complete, Director. We are ready to move against Velthorn Prime whenever you give the order. Director Shin looked at a photograph on her desk. It showed the 50 human scientists who had been murdered at Research Station Alpha 7. Each of them had been working on projects that could have helped multiple species across the galaxy. Dr. Kim, send the following message to Emperor Vashtor. Tell him that humanity is prepared to discuss terms for ending this conflict. But the meeting will take place on our terms, in our location, with our rules. What if he refuses? Director Shin smiled coldly. Then we will continue our reciprocity program until the Velthorn Empire no longer exists. We have all the time in the galaxy, and we never forget a debt. The message reached Emperor Vashtor within hours. For the first time in his life, the great conqueror felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. He was beginning to understand that he had not attacked a weak species of peaceful scientists. He had attacked a species that remembered everything and had the patience to plan perfect revenge. The humans were about to teach the galaxy a lesson that would never be forgotten. Kindness should be treasured, because the species that rewards it most generously is also capable of the most terrible vengeance. 1 year after the Reciprocity War ended, Ambassador Kim Tae-ho stood before a very different galactic council. Where once 12 species had governed the galaxy through fear and political maneuvering, now 47 species participated in a system based on cooperation and mutual benefit. The Great Chamber had been redesigned to accommodate representatives from dozens of worlds. Species that had never been allowed to participate in galactic politics now had equal voices in decisions that affected everyone. At the center of the chamber, in a special section marked with symbols of peace, sat the former leaders of the Velthorn Empire. Emperor Vashtor was there, but he was no longer the terrifying conqueror who had once ruled through violence. The neural modifications had changed him into a thoughtful leader who genuinely cared about the welfare of all species. The Council recognizes Ambassador Tae-ho of Earth, announced the new chairman, who was elected annually by all member species rather than appointed by the most powerful ones. Tae-ho stood up slowly. He was older now, and his hair had turned gray during the intense months of warfare and reconstruction, but his voice was still strong and clear. Fellow representatives, 1 year ago we faced a choice between two different ways of organizing galactic civilization. We could continue the old system where the strong dominated the weak through fear and violence, or we could try something new, based on the simple idea that good deeds should be remembered and rewarded. He paused and looked around the chamber. The results speak for themselves. Trade between our worlds has increased by 300%. Scientific cooperation has led to breakthroughs that benefit every species. Conflicts between planets have been resolved through negotiation rather than warfare. In the audience section, Captain Keth sat with a delegation from the Chitari Republic. His small act of kindness in rescuing human scientists had become the foundation story of the new galactic order. Children across dozens of worlds learned about the merchant who saved 15 strangers and accidentally changed the course of galactic history. But, Tae-ho continued, we must never forget the other lesson from the past year. The same system that rewards kindness also punishes cruelty. The gratitude archive that tracks our friends also contains records of those who choose to harm innocent people. He gestured toward the former Veilthorn section. Emperor Vash-Tor and his people have become valued members of our community. They contribute to scientific research, participate in cultural exchanges, and help maintain peace across their former territory. But this transformation was only possible after they learned that actions have consequences. Former Emperor Vash-Tor stood up when Teho mentioned his name. The neural modifications had not made him weak or stupid. He was still intelligent and capable. But now he used those qualities to build rather than destroy. Ambassador Teho, I would like to address the Council. The Council recognizes former Emperor Vash-Tor. Vash-Tor's voice was calm and measured, very different from the harsh tones he had used as a conqueror. 1 year ago, I believed that power came from the ability to destroy. I thought that fear was the only way to maintain order across diverse species and worlds. He paused, and when he continued, there was genuine emotion in his voice. I was wrong. True power comes from the ability to inspire others to work together toward common goals. The humans taught us this lesson through their response to our attack on their research station. The 50 scientists we killed were working on medical research that could have helped every species in the galaxy. Instead of responding with simple revenge, humanity showed us that their approach to reciprocity creates far more value than our approach of dominance through violence. Dr. Park Soo-jin sat in the scientific advisory section, listening to the former emperor's speech. She had continued her research after the war, working with scientists from the former Veilthorn territories to develop new medical treatments. The breakthrough techniques she had developed while saving the Chitauri species were now being used to help dozens of different life forms across the galaxy. Next to her sat Dr. Han Woo-jin, who had become the director of the new Interspecies Medical Research Institute. Their work together had grown from a simple project to save one species into a galactic network of cooperation that was extending lifespans and eliminating diseases on hundreds of worlds. The Veilthorn people accept full responsibility for our past actions, Vash-Tor continued. We are grateful that humanity chose to transform us rather than destroy us. We pledge to spend the rest of our existence working to repair the damage we caused and to protect the peace we nearly destroyed. When he sat down, there was applause from representatives across the chamber. Even species that had been enemies of the Veilthorn Empire recognized the sincerity of his transformation. Ambassador Teho returned to the podium. The new galactic compact that we signed 6 months ago is based on 3 simple principles. First, every species has an equal voice in decisions that affect the galaxy. Second, good deeds are remembered and rewarded. Third, those who harm others face consequences that match their actions. He looked around the chamber one more time. These principles work because they reflect a basic truth about civilization. When people know that their actions matter, when they understand that kindness leads to friendship and cruelty leads to isolation, they choose to be better. In the back of the chamber, Director Shin Hee-won watched the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. The Department of Reciprocity still existed, still tracked both positive and negative actions across the galaxy. But now it operated openly, with representatives from many species helping to maintain the complex system of mutual obligations that held the new order together. The Gratitude Archive had grown beyond anything its original designers had imagined. It now contained records of millions of interactions between individuals from hundreds of different worlds. Every favor, every kindness, every act of cooperation was documented and rewarded. But the Accountability Division remained as well, a quiet reminder that the galaxy's new peace was protected by the memory of what happened to those who chose violence over cooperation. After the formal session ended, Teho walked to a special ceremony room where a small group of beings had gathered for a private event. Today was the annual day of first kindness, when the galaxy remembered the rescue that had started everything. Captain Keth stood at the center of the room, now elderly but still proud of his role in galactic history. Around him were the surviving crew members from the New Dawn, the human scientists whose rescue had created the first entry in the Gratitude Archive. Engineer Bo Rami, now Director of Interspecies Engineering, stepped forward to present Keith with a small crystal pendant. It was made from materials donated by every member species of the new Galactic Council. Captain Keith, this pendant contains elements from all 47 worlds in our alliance. It represents the unity that grew from your decision to help strangers in need. Keth accepted the pendant with trembling hands. I still cannot believe that such a small thing could lead to such great changes. Tejo smiled. That is the lesson, Captain. There are no small acts of kindness. Every good deed creates ripples that spread across the galaxy, and now that we have learned to track and amplify those ripples, they have the power to transform entire civilizations. Later that evening, Tejo stood alone on the observation deck of the Council station, looking out at the stars. Ships from dozens of species moved peacefully through the space around them. Trade vessels carried goods and ideas between worlds that had once been enemies. Scientific expeditions launched to explore new regions of space with crews that included representatives from multiple species. The galaxy had become something unprecedented, a civilization based on the systematic cultivation of gratitude and the careful management of reciprocity. But Tejo knew that this peace was not fragile. It was protected by something far stronger than military force or political agreements. It was protected by the memory of consequences, by the knowledge that every action mattered, and by the understanding that a species capable of infinite gratitude was also capable of perfect justice. Somewhere in the galaxy, new species were making first contact with the Galactic Council. They would be given the same choice that every civilization faced: show kindness and join a community of unprecedented cooperation, or choose cruelty and face the combined response of dozens of allied worlds. Most chose kindness. Those who did not learned, as the Veilthorn had learned, that humanity's promise was always kept. Good deeds would be remembered and rewarded, but wrongs would never be forgotten. The age of empires built on fear had ended. The age of civilization built on reciprocity had begun, and at the center of it all was the simple truth that Captain Keith had discovered long ago. Sometimes people just need help, and sometimes helping them changes everything.